11, disaster struck closer to home. Queensland was experiencing the worst floods in living memory.
Well, just 10 months after being hit by a once-in-a-century flood, the people here are now bracing for an even bigger round two.
It's not a pretty picture.
Is it worse than what we thought it would be?
Oh, without a doubt.
This disaster has rewritten history. The recovery will have to match.
This is a disaster on an unprecedented scale, and it will require an unparalleled rebuilding effort. We have had floods before in Queensland, we've had cyclones before, but we've never had a disaster on the scale of this one.
The first 3 months of this year have not been typical. There is no doubt that this year has been really tough.
A Category 5 cyclone Yasi smashed into North Queensland at midnight with wind gusts well over 200 kilometres an hour.
There's no doubt that we've been king hit by these disasters.
Virtually every faith believes in the prophecy of a new age. Jewish people believe in the Messiah. Astrologers call it the age of Aquarius. Cosmologists, well, they call it harmonic convergence. So are all these disasters connected? Well, that depends on who you ask.
The magnetic field of the Earth has decreased more than 60% in the last 2,000 years. And some scientists see a direct relationship between the going down of the magnetic field of the Earth and the increase in earthquakes.
Nature unleashed its fearsome power on the people of Japan today in a double disaster that's caused massive damage.
An 8.8 on that coast of Japan inevitably was going to be a very bad earthquake.
The ground shook for minutes. To appreciate what that could mean in California, consider the damage caused in just 15 seconds.
It was clear the world's most technologically advanced country was no match for nature's fury.
You wouldn't have thought that a Hollywood scriptwriter could come up with something like this: earthquakes, floods, tsunamis, nuclear fallout, you name it. You know, so we've been thrown at it.
It seems right now that we're in the middle of a perfect storm. Everything's happening to us at the same time. I mean, how can we understand all of these storms, flooding, bird deaths, fish deaths, earthquakes, volcanic activity, pole shifting going on. And we know that the Japan earthquake actually tilted the Earth on its axis a little bit.
Rabbis are hesitant to use the code to make predictions. They'd rather use it to understand them. But take a look at the matrix they found when they searched for the word Japan.
When the seabed ruptured, it unleashed a monster
There are fears
killer.
tonight of a nuclear emergency, a day on from the 7th largest tremor in history.
Well, to be very frank, Red Cross doesn't get into the practice of comparing disasters, but this was an almost unprecedented convergence of a number of separate disasters happening at the same time.
We will always get hit by things like droughts and tsunamis. And if somebody knows the time when the world's going to end, well, certainly that person, we should pay a lot of attention to, but that is not the case.
The Japanese earthquake was the most powerful ever to hit that country. The 10-metre high tsunami it triggered left 4 million people without power, and over 10,000 people lost their lives.
So everyone's asking, what's going on? And they're turning to ancient texts. The Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament, and it's one of the oldest manuscripts that hasn't changed over the centuries. Inside of the computer, the Torah resides as a text file. The rabbis or the professors put in a key word, and up comes a table. And it looks like a crossword puzzle. Not everything you search for is in the Torah, but lately we've been really amazed at what's been in there. When a word is just blatantly there and you can't ignore it. In 1983, there was a satellite put up. They call it IRAS. It was an infrared observatory that they put up, and they discovered this planet way out in the distance, billions of miles away. It was like a dark star, which you could only see with an infrared telescope. This is a planet at least the size of Jupiter that seems to be headed in our direction. NASA even has a name for it now. They call it Nemesis.
We know the Earth's history has been shaped by bodies hitting it from space. That's why there's a network of observatories looking for what are called NEOs, or near-Earth objects, that might one day impact the Earth.
Now look, this is what I was talking about here on 3.9. Here's this large object that is heading towards the sun. Now, Mercury, North, and Venus had no transits happening during that period of time. There is no comet out there. There is nothing out there. This is, look at that, look at the wings on the side of that thing. It looks like a large planet of some sort. And look at how the sun starts to flicker. This is after the quake. We're now at 3:14, and look at this. Look at the sun. Look at this thing. This thing is huge. I mean, look at the mass of that compared to, the sun. I mean, think of that. I mean, that is huge. So if that was Mercury or Venus, that wouldn't be that big. And there's a lot of technical difficulties happening with SOHO right now. SOHO actually recently said we're entering eclipse season. I've heard of eclipse season before, but I hadn't heard about it all year long. But here, this is weird. Why look at this. I mean, look at the sun. It literally goes dark. Amazing, absolutely amazing. All right, I don't know what's going on here. This is very strange.
It's a no-show. There's nothing to worry about some object coming and striking the Earth or damaging us.
The lower right-hand corner. See that planet there at the bottom? Okay, that's a planet. Don't know what planet it is, but it's a planet. But also look, as that planet moves right, you start seeing that large mass again. I mean, the solar flares just shot out, so that's not solar flare. That's heading into the sun. Look at it. Look at that pointed nose as it heads into the sun, and you see solar flares going. And look at that thing. It's got a large mass to it. Now I want you to pay attention to where the pointer is. We're now at about February 28th. And see that? Just look at it. Take your eyes and look at it. I mean, it looks like a solid object to me. Now I want you to look over to the left hand of the screen and look on the top near where it says stereo. You see another planet up there. So the first planet we saw, now that's the second planet. Now we see a third, a fourth, and a fifth. That's 5 planets. Now, what do they say about Nibiru? It has 6 planets, ladies and gentlemen, orbiting it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's your 6th planet, right there, in the shape of a crucifix. And right as that comes out, I'd like to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, Nibiru. Right there, shining its light as light can be, and watch the eye as it comes down. Look at that. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolutely amazing. 6 planets orbiting a ringed planet. There's the ring. Look at that. There's the ring. And there, oh, it looks like a tail, looks like some horns. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The Hopi Prophecy, Blue Star, Planet X, Nibiru. I don't care. You can dislike this all you want. That is it. That is it. Let's take a look. Side-by-side comparison of SOHO. No Venus, no Mercury running through that transit. This is something bigger, something larger, something either unnatural or natural, but it is a planet. And something is in front of it. Something in front of it that looks, if you look over to the right hand of the screen, that thing looks like a ship. Ladies and gentlemen, we're heading into some serious times right now. I don't care if you're a believer or not a believer, but something is happening out in space, and the coincidence of all of this with the earthquakes, the nuclear meltdown, UFO sightings in Japan, UFO sightings in Italy, 2 suns, all of this stuff over the last couple months is adding up way too much. Do your own investigations. Take the time to look for yourself. Watch this over and over again. Take your own analysis, but look at the dates, look at the times, look at all of this.
A lesser-known theory is a complete reversal of the North and South Poles. Now, astrophysicists know that it has happened before. What they don't know is how to predict the next one, or the impact of it.
Some people, however, are concerned about the change in the magnetic polarity, a shift of the North and South Pole, which does take place every few 100,000 years. But there's no reason to think it will happen in 2012, and actually no evidence that it would do any harm to us, even if it did happen.
But has this polar shift begun already?
Just when you thought there couldn't be more change going on in the world, it turns out magnetic north is moving. Because of it, some airport runways calibrated by compass are now 3 or 4 degrees off. At Tampa International in Florida, they're going to repaint the numbers on the runway and redesignate it because dead center top of the world, magnetic north on the compass is on the move in a big way.
The pole shift, I think, is significant, where the poles are moving rapidly. We're having massive global motion.
The scenario I fear the most is what's called a crustal displacement, or a physical pole shift, where the crust of the Earth moves against the interior of the Earth, and that would set off basically everything. Tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanoes, floods, fires. It would be every imaginable cataclysmic event all rolled into one.
Throughout March and into April, a series of earthquakes continued to rock the Pacific Ring of Fire. March 17th, California. March 17th, Vanuatu. March 23rd, Burma and Thailand. And on March 25th, Japan is hit again. Meanwhile, thousands of dead fish continue to surface in Florida, Texas, and around the world.
NASA is 99.9% certain no asteroids are headed our way that would impact us or do us any harm this year or next year. But they very conveniently don't mention comets. A comet could be heading our way and we would not see it yet. A comet is also something that the ancient Mayans could have seen and predicted the return of. So when NASA says everything's fine, well, they're omitting part of the equation.
All this 2012 talk is just a hoax. It's a fake. It's nothing you should worry about.